welcome to another Coffee with Colm, and thank you for joining me. This week I want to talk to you about the time my parachute didn't open. Right? This week I want to talk to you about the time my parachute didn't open. I've done 2 parachute jumps in my time, both for charity, and the first time was so exhilarating I decided I'd go back a second time, and the second time, well, the parachute didn't open. But of course I'm still here, so clearly it had a happy ending, and I want to take you through that in a moment and some of the lessons learned. The reason I'm coming back to this now, I've told this story before, but the reason I'm coming back to it now is because, as it happens, during the week I was introduced to a lady online by a mutual friend of ours who also had a situation where her parachute didn't open. In her particular case, 25 years ago, she actually hit the ground with no parachute and yet survived to tell the tale, but that's an entirely different story and on a scale way beyond my story. However, there's a couple of lessons here for us all. So, let me just take you through the fundamentals of skydiving, if I may, for those who haven't yet done it. Number one, when you're preparing for a skydive, when you're starting out, as I was, it's a tandem skydive. So you're effectively welded, strapped to a professional skydiver. Okay, so I was a passenger effectively. And I was strapped to a professional skydiver. And what happens when you're 2 miles up, 10,000 feet, by the way, is 2 miles up. What happens is you slide the door open on the side of the airplane, right? And you sort of bum your way forward to the opening and you sit there with your legs dangling out into space. So I'm going to invite you to imagine you're sitting, instead of sitting on your chair, that you're sitting at the side of an airplane with the door open. Okay, so sit up straight, please. Cross your arms across your chest. Your right hand is touching your left shoulder. Your left hand is touching your right shoulder. And lift your legs off the floor and tuck them in under the seat that you're sitting on. So if you imagine your feet are now under the fuselage of the plane. Okay, and what your professional skydiver strapped to your back is going to invite you to do, he or she is going to invite you to tilt your head back. So tilt your head back and look up at the ceiling. Arms crossed, legs tucked under the chair. And then rock backwards and rock forwards and rock backwards and rock forwards and rock backwards and rock forwards. And on the third rock forward, you're going to exit the plane 2 miles up. And what's going to happen is you're going to plummet towards the earth. You're going to plummet towards the earth, and you're wearing goggles so you're able to see everything that's going on. And you hit a speed called, I hate this term, terminal velocity within a handful of seconds. Terminal, wrong word altogether, terminal velocity. And you go whoosh, whoosh. You can't hear a thing because of the air rushing into your ears, right? And terminal velocity is, I think, about 120 kilometers an hour, and you're falling towards the earth at 120 kilometers per hour with a professional skydiver strapped to your back. And it's so exhilarating. And you fall at terminal velocity for, I think, about 30 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. And then all of a sudden, the professional skydiver will pull a cable, a lever, a handle, and your canopy will open above you, and you get jerked back up into an upright position because you have been falling horizontal, face down, at, as I say, terminal velocity. You get jerked back into an upright position, and all of a sudden it's quite incredible because the whoosh goes out of your ears, and all of a sudden it's perfectly calm, perfectly quiet, perfectly beautiful, and you get a chance. You can talk exactly like I'm talking to you, to the professional strapped to your back, and it's just a wonderful experience. And that's why when I did the first one, I decided I'd go back the second time round. Second time round, I even invited a buddy to go along with me, Dave Malloy, and Dave and I were delighted with ourselves when we headed to the airfield, and we went up in the plane. It takes about 15 or 20 minutes to circle up to 2 miles up above the airfield. And of course, at that stage, 2 miles down, everything's looking a bit small. So we're back to the side of the plane again. So again, please, arms crossed, your feet tucked under your chair. Look up at the ceiling, rock backwards, rock forwards, rock backwards, rock forwards, rock backwards, rock forwards, and you're out of the plane, hurtling towards the earth at terminal velocity. And so the 30 seconds this time seemed a little bit longer, only because it was, right? Because we kept falling further and longer than we had intended. And after what seemed like an eternity, all of a sudden there was a jerking backwards, and in this particular case we slowed down. We didn't come to an immediate stop, we just slowed down. And next thing I see some wires, some cables dangling in front of my face, and I'm thinking, that doesn't really feel right. I don't remember that the last time. And I had booked a video recording of the skydive for posterity, and the professional is supposed to have a camera on his wrist, and he's videoing all of your reactions as you enjoy the ride. But when I heard him using expletives, I realised I wasn't going to get the video. That was for sure. So something had gone wrong. Something had gone wrong. Next thing, his hand comes over my shoulder with a bunch of cables and said, "Would you mind holding on to those, please?" And I'm thinking, grand, you just tell me what to do. I'm going to do it. So I get to he hands me a bunch of cables. There's some jiggery pokery going on behind me, and next thing, I feel like a lightness where he has cut something away, and I see what looks like a backpack or a knapsack falling away from us towards Earth. And it turns out it landed in a field full of cows, but that's neither here nor there, and I don't believe any cows were hurt. Anyway, so what had happened was the parachute had failed. He did what he was supposed to do. He pulled the correct lever, the correct handle, and the parachute didn't open. So after a period of time, he did whatever he was supposed to do for a handful of seconds, because we're talking seconds, and then he decided, okay, this isn't going to work, and he went to plan B. He went to the backup parachute, and thank goodness we had a plan B. Thank goodness we had a backup parachute. The original canopy, by the way, is one of those, it's sort of a rectangular piece of cloth. I'm sure you know the type of thing. And the reason it's rectangular is it allows for all those sort of acrobatic type things going on. You can spin around and do all sorts of twirls and whatnot, which is part of the fun of the first skydive and brought me back. But because we'd lost that parachute, we were left with a backup parachute, which is really only designed to get you down in one piece, right? So we came down faster than we would normally have come down, but nowhere near terminal velocity. And we didn't do any fancy tricks. It was just, let's get on the ground and everything's going to be fine. And we got on the ground, everything was fine. And a couple of things struck me from that experience. Number one, by the way, tongue in cheek, I reckon skydiving as a sport is a missed opportunity for some of the nappy brands to sponsor. I'll just leave that there. Let you think about that one, right? But the second thing, the real lessons that struck me were around life itself. And two things came to mind in particular. Number one, surround yourself with professionals. Number one, surround yourself with professionals. If I hadn't had that professional strapped to my back, we wouldn't be having this chat today, for sure. So number one, whatever area of your life you want to stay safe in, get better in, surround yourselves with professionals. Find a coach in an area that you want to develop and work with that coach. That's number one. Surround yourself with professionals. And number two, always have a plan B. Always have a plan B. Okay? What happens if your plan A, whatever it is your plan A is today, what happens if that fails? I'm not wishing for you that it will, but what happens if plan A, whatever it is you're working on, not necessarily just in your career, plan A in your life, in any aspect of your life around your health or your wealth or your relationships or indeed your spirit. What happens if plan A fails? Do you have a plan B? Know that if the brown material collides with the electronic air rotation device in your life, that you can in fact be safe because you've got a plan B. And plan B won't be as effective as plan A. Plan B will allow you survive. Plan B is akin to that horrible little wheel that you have if you get a puncture on the road, the one that will just get you to the next station. That's what plan B is. So whatever area of your life that you're working on at this moment in time that you believe to be somewhat vulnerable, whether it's health, wealth, relationships or spirit, well then I recommend that you in fact find a professional to work with and help you in that area. And secondly, I recommend that you have a plan B. Have some way of surviving should things go awry. Anyway, I'm alive to tell the tale, and that's wonderful. So look, thank you for joining me for this week's Coffee with Colm. I hope and trust, as ever, you got something from it. Please consider what's been shared here today and apply it into your thinking for this next week. And then very importantly, come back next week and we share another coffee together and I'll ruminate on some other aspect of life and business. Between now and then, get some great coffee for sure. Get some fresh air, get some R&R. If you spend too much time alone, I recommend you go meet some people. And now that the pandemic is over, you can go into the real world and meet some people. If you spend too much time with people, I recommend you spend some time alone and get to know yourself a little. And then when the time is right, and only when the time is right, get your head back in the game, get organised for the week ahead, get stuck in, make next week count. And I'll see you here this time next week for another Coffee with Colm. Slán. Oh, I love great coffee. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.